Singapore has suddenly expanded its immigration intake, creating a 5-year period of elevated targets for foreign professionals. The shift was announced by Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong during a major parliamentary address regarding the survival of the nation's population. This chart shows the historical average of immigration approvals surging upward. For the years 2026 through 2030, the government is targeting 40,000 new permanent residents and up to 30,000 new citizens annually. But this creates a specific challenge for applicants. Does a massive increase in raw volume mean the government has lowered the bar for individual approval? It does not. Increased precocity is not the same as reduced selectivity. The government is expanding the pool of available slots, but the unspoken behavioral and economic requirements to secure one of those slots are actually becoming more stringent. To understand why the government is doing this, we have to look past the immigration targets and examine the demographic cliff forcing their hand. This dual-axis graph shows the root cause of the crisis. The total fertility rate, or TFR, which measures the average number of children born per woman, has crashed to 0.87. That is roughly 40% below the replacement rate needed to sustain the population. A shrinking youth cohort threatens national security. Fewer births means smaller intake sizes for national service, straining the military manpower relied upon for defense. Simultaneously, the working age base is shrinking while the elderly population grows. This forces a smaller group of young people to carry a substantially heavier financial and caregiving load. These new PR targets are not acts of generosity, but of demographic necessity. The government is expanding the intake entirely to select immigrants who can solve these specific structural crises. From a fiscal perspective, the ideal economic immigrant is someone who arrives fully formed and ready to work on day one. Raising a citizen from birth requires the state to spend 2 decades subsidizing education, housing, and healthcare. A working-age immigrant bypasses those costs entirely, delivering immediate returns to the economy. This immediate influx of economic activity directly supports the Central Provident Fund, or CPF. The CPF is Singapore's mandatory social security savings scheme, and its survival depends entirely on a large working base funding retirement and healthcare. If you are applying during the 2026 to 2030 cycle, you are evaluated as a ready-made tax base. Your ability to consistently fund this system is the baseline expectation, but relying solely on a high salary is a mistake. Being a ready-made taxpayer gets your application reviewed, but if you lack long-term stability, it will not get you approved. Modern professionals frequently jump between companies to maximize their income. In Singapore, that specific strategy directly harms your chances of securing permanent residency. Every Work Pass application involves an Annex A endorsement. Annex A is a declaration where your employer officially vouches for your role and confirms they could not fill the position with a local hire. After 6 months at a company, that endorsement is just a procedural formality. But after 4 years, complete with internal promotions and multiple renewals, that same endorsement proves you are deeply embedded and highly valuable to the local economy. Looking at this timeline graphic, we see the strategic cost of job hopping. Leaving a company for a lateral move resets the government's perception of your reliability. The Immigration and Checkpoints Authority views frequent movement as a massive flight risk. Someone who jumps roles every 18 months is statistically likely to leave Singapore the moment a better offer appears elsewhere. To survive the selectivity trap, applicants must make a calculated trade-off. You have to sacrifice short-term financial flexibility to build the long-term employer loyalty that the state demands. Beyond your individual employment record, every single application is filtered through a strict macroeconomic boundary. To preserve the existing texture of society, the government strictly manages its demographic composition using the CMIO system. CMIO stands for Chinese, Malay, Indian, and others. This pie chart shows the rigid system: 75.5% Chinese, 15.1% Malay, 7.6% Indian, and 1.8% others. Competition happens within your specific ethnic group. For example, a massive global pool of Indian applicants applies immense pressure against a strict 7.6% allocation. Because this competition is structural and intra-ethnic, a flawless professional resume is not a guarantee of approval. It is simply the bare minimum required to survive your specific quota bracket. If you successfully navigate the quota to secure PR, the criteria change again. Permanent residency grades you on economic utility, while citizenship grades you on irrevocable cultural rootedness, proving that rootedness requires exact, verifiable inputs. The state looks for active volunteering with the People's Association, the government's grassroots community network, and the enrollment of your children in local Ministry of Education public schools. The system actively screens against convenient citizens. These are candidates who want the security of a Singaporean passport, but spend their entire lives interacting within a transient expat bubble. Securing the ultimate goal of citizenship requires paying an integration tax. You must sacrifice your personal time and your global mobility to prove permanent active embeddedness in the local community. We are currently operating inside the confirmed 2026 to 2030 intake period, but with a scheduled review in 2030, any public backlash or sudden birth rate recovery means the state could swing this window shut. This flowchart maps your options. If you change companies every 18 months, applying now wastes an attempt. Stabilize first. But for an embedded resident with a 4-year tenure, consistent taxes, and community ties, this is the most favorable window in 15 years. Execute now. Singapore is offering a historically high volume of approvals, but the uncompromising currency you must pay with is documented long-term commitment. As Singapore continues to grow and evolve, there has never been a better time to make it your permanent home. If you're ready to take the next step toward permanent residency or citizenship, E&H Immigration Consultancy is here to help. Visit our website at ehhimmigration.com or call us today to start your journey.